session of the day. We have merged the two sessions, private universities imparting education through innovation and technical education looking beyond present challenges. And we have a few more speakers in the room as well, who was initially a part of the technical education track. So the chair of the session is Professor Premvrat. He's the Vice Chancellor of ITM University, Gurgaon. We also have Dr. G. Vishwanathan, Founder and Chancellor, VIT University, Coimbatore, as the co-chair for the session. And I would like to give a special welcome to Dr. Isaac, Member Secretary of AICT. I would like to hand over the session to Professor Premvrat, who is the session chair for this track.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. As mentioned, this is a combined session. Originally scheduled for which I was to be chairing was private universities, and now we have the technical education looking beyond present challenges. This is an era of mergers and acquisitions, and you can now see the strength. Actually, when I was alone in a private, we were wondering whether there will be more than the number of speakers present here. Now this brings out the strength of mergers and acquisitions. Collectively, it looks very good. Particularly, if you look at much of the privatization has been in the technical education context. And therefore, it also makes sense to look at the issues of technical education and the private university system in totality, because a very large number of private universities are primarily technical universities in the kind of services they offer. So we have a very brilliant group panelists with us. Our panelist from technical education sector is Dr. G. Vishwanathan, is founder and chancellor of VIT University, Vellore, who is the co-chair. We have Dr. Isaac, who is indeed is a very prominent component of private technical education system by way of the regulatory authority. He's the secretary, member secretary ICT, and he's the keynote speaker. We have Dr. R.S.K. Lakshman Prabhu, Director Admissions, PSNA College of Engineering. Dr. Akshay Agrawal, Vice Chancellor, Gujarat Technical Universities. They are members from the merged panel, and from the private universities panel we have with us Dr. I'll just read out the name. We have Dr. Francis C. Peter. He is the Vice Chancellor of and President, Dr. K.N. Modi University, Rajasthan. We have Dr. Anup Singh, Director General and Chairman, Nirma University, Gujarat. And we have Dr. Padmakali Banerjee, Pro Vice Chancellor, Amity University, Gurgaon, Haryana. I understand Professor Lavi Raj Gupta is not coming, so therefore. And we have Satish C. Sharma. And we have Satish C. Sharma from Maharaj Group of Colleges. Now, as you know that since the number of speakers have increased very substantially as a result of this merger, so are the listeners. So obviously the price we pay is that there will be some degree of curtailment on the total time available for presentation, because the session is still has to conclude at up to 1 o'clock. So maybe that if I can take the liberty to give the preference to our guests from the other panel merging here, and we take the technical education system first, and then later on we'll take the private university system. So maybe I'll first request Dr. G. Vishwanathan, founder and the Chancellor of VIT Universities. Dr. Vishwanathan has played an extremely vital role in steering private technical university system, and VIT is considered to be one of the benchmarks amongst the private institutions imparting technical education. So let's hear from him his mantra for getting excellence in private technical education system.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ladies and gentlemen, and my fellow speakers, very good morning to you.
I'm told that the speakers have to go there. Perhaps you need to be... No, they need to photograph you, and obviously it's a very...
Good morning. I'm happy that the two sessions have been met today in this session. And being a private university and also taking up technical education, it is very convenient for me. Well, what are the challenges facing technical education in particular and higher education in general? And what are our solutions? Being given very short time, I would like to mention that the expansion of higher education, particularly technical education, is the most important reform which the country requires. Because when we talk about reforms, I have seen all regulations, rules, pending bills. All of them aim at more controls and more centralization of power. I think we had already enough of this, and I would like the government to consider, be liberal, encourage competition, and through competition we will achieve quality and cutting down the prices. That's what is happening in the economy. As far as expansion is concerned, there was a comparative study in the year 2010 which said that India's GER is 16%, whereas the world average is 27%. Countries, the emerging economies, for example, China has 26%, and Brazil has 36%. And some of the advanced countries, it varied from 50% to almost 100%. And what is it that we are doing to expand higher education and also technical education? In the last 4 years, not a single university was allowed, private university under the central government. That's why people went to states, and we have around 200 state private universities now. When colleges are more, we always find the media writing mushrooming of colleges. That may be true of 3 or 4 states. As a whole country, there is so much disparity. Take, for example, the South plus Maharashtra. Their population is 1/3 of the country, but these states control 2/3 of the educational institutions, both universities as well as colleges. So such a disparity exists, and disparities there are many things, gender-wise, rural versus urban, male versus female, state versus state, etc. But as far as expansion is concerned, I would very much like that all those students who are eligible to enter into higher education must get a seat. Take, for example, the classic example is Delhi itself. We had more than 1 lakh applications for arts and science in Delhi, whereas we have only 50,000 seats available. And in one college, they did not entertain any application below 100%. This is true of even leading states like Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu, or Karnataka. In professional courses, they begin with 100% in centum marks in +2 or class 12 and stop with mostly 95 or 90. In fact, there is a case pending in the Supreme Court now from Tamil Nadu. A few students who have secured 99% have gone to the court, approached the Supreme Court for getting a medical seat in the state. This is the kind of situation exists, and wherever there is a shortage of a commodity, I was a minister for food sometime in Tamil Nadu. If there is a shortage, there will be hoarding, there will be dual pricing, there will be black marketing, and there will be corruption. That we should not allow to happen in education, which is happening now. So I want a liberal policy by the government. Both central government and the state government should invest more money in higher education, particularly in professional education, and also allow private to come up. Now we are restricting only to trusts and societies. We should allow even companies also to start. Finally, the proof of eating in the pudding. The pudding is in the eating. And I want a transparent, very good accreditation team to go around and tell the public, inform the public about the quality of education any university offers. If there is a competition, ultimately only those who do well will survive, others will die on their own. The government need not come with punishments like 3 years imprisonment, 2 years imprisonment, 1 crore fine, etc. These are all in the pending bills. I would very much request the government not to hand over the educational institution to police stations. If all the pending bills are passed, we will not be going to AICT, UGC, or Medical Council of India. We will be visiting all the police stations in the country. This is the kind of thing which we want to avoid, and we have very good models all over the world. Take, for example, Europe. How was Europe was overtaken by US? Because of competition between the private and the public. That is how US became the leader instead of Europe. That's what India can offer. India has the very good potential to become a world leader in education, and I would very much like more investment has to take place, and we have to attain excellence through competition. And as I told you, there is so much disparity among states and states. This has to be taken care of. And the most important challenge which is facing is the shortage of faculty. We are not doing anything now because those who are in teaching profession, those who do not get anywhere else, they come for teaching profession except 10 or 20%. I would very much like the government to evolve a scheme whereby we have to attract the best of people to teaching profession. My request to government is that the income tax, there should be a limit for the professors, for the teaching profession. It is offered in some countries. The maximum can be either to 5% or 10%, so that those who are outside the country or outside the teaching field, they may come back for teaching, and we will solve the problem of teacher shortage, which is around 30 to 40%, even beyond 40%. And another important thing is we have to internationalize our education. At present, one is our infrastructure is not good. I see some of the schools in US and Western countries, they are far better than our universities. So infrastructure is very much required. The curriculum, we have no autonomy as such. All the affiliated colleges are like tutorial colleges. They cannot do anything on their own. We must give enough autonomy to the educational institutions. The 10th plan spoke about at least 10% of the colleges should be given autonomous status. If it is so, 3,500 colleges should be autonomous in the country. There are only 300 institutions, out of which half are in Tamil Nadu. So we have to go a long way in giving autonomy to the educational institutions, and we have to switch over from this affiliated system to the university system like all over India. Except India, Pakistan, and Bangladesh, this affiliating system is not there anywhere in the world. It is high time. We want to improve quality. We have to move to the university system, and universities should be respected, both government as well as private. People should not think that they sit in Delhi and control everything in Delhi, everything in India. I would very much like them to be liberal, but ultimately they will be judged by the parents and students. Competition will determine the existence of an institution. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Vishwanathan, for very interesting starting issues on this session. May I now request Professor Dr. K.P. Isaac, Member Secretary ICT, to make his presentation. The points raised are very valid, but these have been raised a number of times, and no answer.
Sir, 1 minute, please.
Professor Prem Rath, fellow panel speakers, and delegates for this summit. I have now listened to Mr. Vishwanathan airing his views on or his concern about what is required to be done by the government. Now, I have my own views on a few things like what he has told, but today the topic which we are discussing is how the technical education and what is its future scenario. So I don't know what exactly to be addressed. We have been addressing several issues. And being in All India Council for Technical Education, every day I listen to one word, that the education we impart, at least in the technical education, is not having any quality. This is what every day you hear in the newspaper. Is it true? Is it that bad? But there are a few things which are to be done to improve the education, quality of education in this country. Maybe, as Mr. Vishwanathan has said, it may be that our system of affiliating systems of colleges to the university may have to be changed. We require autonomy. It's all true. There are a few things which we have got to find answers. Now, I just wanted to give you a comparison of the Indian education system and a system which is prevalent in US university, which was narrated by an American student who has undergone her studies in one of the national institutes in India. She has come here from one of the good universities in the US to undergo 2 or 3 courses in one of the good national level institute in this country. I just tell you her views on the Indian education system. I will just tell you that now that it's up to you to form your own views of how we have to improve our system. See, she has come here to undergo certain courses. What she says is, it is not the content of the course or the method of teaching, but rather the students that differ. Students at Indian institution are much more relaxed, and for them, academics do not always seem like the top priority. Instead, they spend their time putting on amazing shows, playing lots of cricket, and organizing incredible festivals. When we say that, education has to be viewed as an overall development of the student. These are things are required. But what she says is that the importance is not on the academic side. Its importance is on the festivals and organizing so many festivals and cricket and things like that. Students really work hard to get into the leading institutions in this country, but once they are there, they enjoy. Having the brand ensures success in the future because they get good placement. So there is no rigorous training which is undergoing in these institutions. The attitude creates an atmosphere the student has never experienced in an American university. In the Indian institutes, the classes starts 10 minutes late. May not be true in all cases, but this is what she has told. Half of the students seem to sleep or talk. Students seems very passionate about the subject while submitting assignments. Usually a few students do the work. What she says is 10% of the students do the work and the 90% copy the assignments. Cheating is almost a norm in examinations in India, but this behavior at American university would have met with severe punishments. They also say that the student has in an American university, she has the desire or the freedom to choose a major subject of her choice. Mid-semester examinations were new experience for her in the class. What she says is in the class. In the American, where she was undergoing the university studies, she never had an examination for the last 3 years in the classroom. All the examinations were posted in the website by this examiner. And the only thing is that the student will have to sign an honor code saying that whatever the teacher says, that if the teacher says that it's a closed book examination, 3 hours to be submitted 7th day from today, they honor that and they do it at home. Is it possible in India? So the students sign the honor code and are trusted to follow the rules of the examination. Cheating is rarely seen because the consequences could result in academic failure of the course or being kicked out of the university. She says that she personally prefers the Indian system because we have a lot of time, free time. At the American university, at the end of the week, every week, the teacher gives an assignment which you have to undergo at least 15 hours a day. 15 hours to the weekend to complete the assignment. Are we doing that? Only here is that we have quizzes, mid-semester and end semester, and a lot of free time. So she has enjoyed the time spending and meeting people, going to performances, listening to guest lectures, and exploring in general. So, is it that our academic system has to be improved? We know that I would say that we don't have dearth of qualified people. We don't have, when I say qualified, the qualified number of faculty is available at least in the mid-level. May not be in the higher level with PhDs. But are they suited to teach? They have a passion towards teaching or research or to do consultancy as part of the game? I don't know whether they have that. But the number game, you always meet. We have today about 17 lakh seats for the engineering alone. For the diploma, we have another 8 lakh seats. The management, we have about 4 lakh. The system is so large in number. But are we able to produce? So there are reasons which cannot be pinpointed to one alone. It could be the academics, it could be the teacher, it could be the student, it could be the system. But we have got to have paradigm shift which has to take place in every field of this one. Now I just, having told that, I just would like to tell you one small thing, because we have been, they have planned an industry institute session also in the evening. But I said in the evening there will not be anybody to listen, so I said I would like to tell you a small thing. That when I talk about the industry institute interaction, we have somewhere around 60 to 70 lakh students undergoing engineering course in this country today at any point of time. Because we have 17 lakh seats today into 4. That's the number of students undergoing engineering curriculum. That is all with the ICT, and then you have the other universities, private universities, deemed universities, the national level institutions, apart from that. When we say that every student should go and visit an industry, undergo industrial training, how is it possible? Just tell me. Is it possible for this student to, if an industry decides to admit, give it open to all the students to come, I think they only can do that. They cannot do any production. We have to go to the reality. So how do we circumvent that? I just have a I have something called the bringing the industry to the institution. This is what we thought. which if you can see, assume that we have a car factory. If everybody would like to visit the car factory, it's not possible. What we propose is that once in 6 months, this industry can telecast or webcast their production or assembly line to the whole of the engineering students across the country through using our technology. Once in 6 months, they have to do it. I don't want this to happen as a recorded one. It has to be live. Then only it will be viewed. It has to be live only. Because once you record it and send it, it will become obsolete because the industry gets changed quite faster. So we would like to get to know what is happening in the industry. So how it is happening, at least you get a visual. You are not able to go and visit the industry because 60 lakh students visiting all the industries is practically impossible. So can we not try something like this? That is bringing the industry to the institutions. Can we take up? But in all these meetings, I don't find, because for the last 2 years I've been with the AICT and attending meetings, but I don't find any industry people coming forward to take it up as a challenge to give it to as a CSR, at least as a CSR initiative. Yeah, this is something which happens once, transformer testing. People would not have seen it. Even if you want to do it, you cannot go and do it at the same time when they do the testing. This is a motherboard manufacturing. I just took a few examples to which can happen. This is an undersea construction. Even if you go to the site, you cannot see it. You can only see through this kind of a media. Now, I'm just proposing something which has to happen. So we have got to bring in some kind of shifts to changes, which everybody will have to do it, something small or big. Every field, whether it is a teacher, the student, the attitude of the student, the social system, the infrastructure, the library, whatever system, the teachers, everybody will have to get a change which has to happen over a period of time so that we will be able to bring in a quality education system in the near future. Thank you.
Isaac, now, are you through? Thank you, Dr. Isaac. Actually, to manage time better, we'll refer the questions towards the later part. Otherwise, there's a tendency to overshoot the time. I'll therefore now request the next speaker in this category, Dr. R.S. K. Lakshmana Prabhu, Director, Admissions, PSNA, College of Engineering Technology. I would request the speakers to kindly restrict to 5 to 7 minutes to start with, and later on, if we still have time, we'll be able to have a further discussion. Let the discussion be the focus rather than presentation.
Yeah, that's one. Should make it big. Yeah. Yeah, that's good. Disconnected, please. Disconnected, yeah. Dear sir, professors, scholars, researchers, and my friends from the media, good morning to you all. All of us know what we mean by divariance in plain terms. It's a kind of bonus. You buy your shares in industry and expect the industrialists to pay you your good dividends. Quite similarly, when we speak of demographic dividends, we mean the dividend that the people of a nation will contribute to the nation. All of us are aware of the nature of our workforce in India. First of all, it is easy for you to imagine what will happen to a big family in which a single person is compelled to work for a family of 12 members. If 9 members can work and earn for the family, only 3 members of the family will be dependents. Similarly, if 70 crore of people can work and earn, what they produce will be sold in the market of developed countries and developing countries. There was a time when it was really achieved in Ireland. Now, I shall say a few words about what we call workforce. All the men and women who fall into the age group of 18 to 65 can work hard and earn both for the family and for the nation. Imagine a workforce consists of men and women in the age group of 18 to 65. All of them do not belong to the labor force, even though we use the word work. Take, for example, our young engineers who were trained for the IT sector. I shall refer to an argument in which two eminent sons of India were engaged. Apart from facing the challenge of mediocrity, the incompetence of the India workforce, the members of the industrialist conclave are worried about the problem more deeply than others. First of all, finding jobs for all the skilled labor.
I hate to intervene, Dr. Lakshmana. Since you have 5 to 7 minutes,
Okay.
I would suggest that, and since it's a combined session, the time is precious.
Okay.
Just say the salient points, and I'm sure your
Yeah.
presentation can be mailed to people.
Definitely. So, which is not highly promising, it's a problem that is related to unfavorable demographics. And panelist is Ramaduri remarked that only 5% of India's labor force is estimated to have had any formal training must be carefully considered. Professor David Bloom is a well-known demographer. He has made a prophetic utterance that the theory of population dividend, which he has put forward, says that decrease or increase in the fertility rates will change the ratio of dependence, the size of workforce, and the chances of making economic progress. Yeah, sure, definitely.
And of course, if this debate is so long as you finish within your time, I don't mind.
Okay.
I don't take more than time.
Okay. The second most popular country in the world offers ground for cautious optimism. Please note that expression cautious optimism, India's demographic transition is well underway, and the age structure of the population is likely to evolve favorably for 2 or 3 decades. The Indian profile is dominated by the life cycle deficit of children. The gap between what they consume and what they produce by the deficit of old ages is relatively small. Primarily because of their population is a relatively small share of the total, Germany life cycle deficit of old age is much larger, while children claim a smaller share of total resources than older Germans. The per capita life cycle profile plays a role here, but Germany population age structure is a real driver. Demographers refer to the number of workers divided by the total population as a support ratio. The more people there are of working age in a population, the higher the income per person, other things equal supporting roles. Until recently, support ratios were rising in the most low and high income countries, which added to the economic growth. But population aging means support ratios are now declining in high income countries in the coming decades. Many poorer countries will also begin to experience declining support ratios. The picture will help you to imagine the workforce of a nation carrying within its shoulders the responsibility of supporting those who cannot do any productive work. There are many senior professors who deliver scholarly lectures at universities. There are many senior thinkers who offer valuable advice to industrialists. Clayton Christian is one of them. The pyramid of workforce, especially in different fields, who contribute for the nation and families. David Bloom's prediction increase the fertility rates, increase in the workforce. Adverse effect increase in poverty. And an asset to a nation, aging professors or scientists are not a burden to the nation. It's not coming. The youth force must be guided by the experts. Demographic divide and in rapid economic growth, many women enter the labor force for the first time. A time period, number of smaller families increase, rise in income, and rise in the life expectancy rate. Bloom also suggests some possibility of increasing in the divorce rates, postponement of marriages, and single-person households. Reason for demographic occurrence. East Asia benefit from knowledge, experience, and technology of this country which had passed through demographic transition. The poorest country in Europe became the richest. India surpassed China as the world's largest country by 2025. The urgency arises from the small window of opportunity. All countries should plan for the demographic dividend while population is young. If the young people are not provided opportunities, there will be social upheaval. Help the young people during their working years to promote their investment is very urgent as opportunity is short. At the point of intersection, India will catch up with China, but China population will decrease due to the child policy, one-child policy. The decline graph of the population of China. And an important question, will India be able to provide food and water and satisfy the people energy needs?
Dr. Prabhu, you have 1 minute to conclude.
Yeah. India population is 2025 will be 1.692 billion. Increase the labor supply, depend on the ability of the economy to employ extra workers, increase in the savings, individuals can save more, increase the nation's economy, increase the national saving rate, and accumulated capital leads to higher productivity. Population authorities and world leaders must join together in the effort to bring out an awareness of a demographic divergence among people of India. Technology is never the whole solution. The recent history of technology education tells us that however good it is achieves little without the complementary human and organizational changes needed. And they are always difficult. And lastly, I would like to tell you that it is neither possible to be optimistic nor wise to be pessimistic after having analyzed the present situation. Once I would like to emphasize the need to concentrate. Hope will all share with my feelings. I really thank eminent scholars who have taken up the discussion of the most urgent problem, which will real solution must be found in the nearest future. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Prabhu. Well, friends, I now request Dr. Akshay Agrawal and request him to kindly make a presentation over. It doesn't have to read if we take 5 to 7 minutes on this.
Thank
Dr.
you.
Akshay Agrawal.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. What I will do is, to save time, I will not go to the slides. I will just talk about a few of the major issues. First of all, I would like to say that I agree very much with Dr. Isaac's presentation, the first part of it. From my own experience, I can tell you that when I went from India to Canada and started teaching, at that time we didn't have so many SFIs in the western and the northern part of India. And therefore my class over here used to be very good. I saw that the class with which I started was not really as intelligent on the whole as my class in India was. But then, by the end of the semester, I was able to see that the outcome was much better. So the same teacher dealing with a highly intelligent class is able to have a low outcome, and the same teacher, as soon as he goes there, so probably he couldn't have improved much with a class which is less intelligent on the whole, was able to have much higher outcomes. And the reason is simple: discipline. The reason is the college starts at 8 a.m., the university starts at 8 a.m. on the first day and continues right up to the last Friday, up to 10 p.m. And this fact was corroborated by a study at Stanford last year. I do not know how many of you have had an occasion to look at that study. That study compared 4-year engineering students at Stanford with 4-year engineering students at IIT Madras. And they tried to find out how many hours a student uses in his studies, including class, laboratory, workshop, assignments, and all that. They found that a Stanford student in 2.5 years spends the same number of hours that an IIT Madras student spends in 4 years. So basically, the IIT Madras degree of 4 years is worth 2.5 years, if you count the number of hours of study. That is the position that we have. And what is the position at Mofazil colleges, I do not know, because there is no study of that kind existing. So, Dr. Isaac, you are very correct. And that single student's, impression, that's really corroborated by an intensive study over years by Stanford. That's why I go on telling to whichever college I go. And I have visited now about 200 colleges in GTU, that if we cannot have discipline, we should not ask for a world-class university in India. The alternative is close down all the universities and send those who are worth it outside, because we are not going to have a world-class university unless we improve our discipline. That is the first thing I would like to say. regarding Industry Institute interaction. What Dr. Isaac said was the story retailed to me for 2 months or 3 months when I joined as the Vice Chancellor at GTU. I called a number of meetings of industry people. I invited myself also to many of those meetings, and the same story was repeated. Now, I had at that time 50,000 students in the 3rd year, and they were to come to 4th year next year. And I was looking for projects in the industry. And as usual, I was told the numbers and all that, and I was told it is not possible. Regarding Gujarat, we have in Gujarat 2.5 lakh registered small, medium enterprises. I had only 50,000 students. Usually 2 to 3 students do a final year project. So I wanted about 20,000 final year projects. Ultimately, on 2nd August 2010, I declared my clear-cut intention that every student project we'll make an attempt should be in the industry. Now, when our students came to the final year in August 2011, we were able to send them to the industry. 50,000 of them went to the industry during the summer. 17,000 projects were ultimately done during the year. 73% of them were in the small and medium enterprises. So at least in Gujarat, I can say, if you do not have a lot of interest only in going to the large industry, we could do it. In fact, we could do it with just 17,000 industries out of 2.5 lakh industries. And my suggestion is, don't go to the large industry. Large industry is good for seeing, for tour. It's no good for a final year project. It's no good for learning. Learn from small industry, and that will be good enough. Out of those 17,000 projects, 1,900 projects have benefited the industry directly. And in a particular district, the benefit is to the tune of about 4.5 crores. That's the estimate. So that is the kind of work these young students, guided by teachers who are derided by everyone, have done. So then again, about 177 patents have been filed for these projects. So that is the work that these students have done. So I think if we do not bother about going only to the large industry for projects, we have sufficient capacity in our country. And let's therefore try to do it. Thirdly, the issue of autonomy is a very important one. Please understand one thing. An autonomous institution where there is not a single world-class teacher is going to remain a third-rate institution. Therefore, if you want to have an autonomous institution, please ensure that in every department there are at least a couple of teachers who are world-class. There should be teachers who can walk into an IIT, who can walk into Shanghai, and they'll be hired. If you do not have that kind of teachers, please do not copy the West. Copy the West intelligently, not foolishly. We will doom all these institutions to remain third-rate for all time to come. So therefore, while I agree with Mr. Vishwanathan that autonomy is very important, we must ensure that autonomy would be designed to bring fruits, and it will not become simply a way of saying, well, we have done it. Like, we have done choice-based credit system nearly all over the country. And where is the choice to the students? I don't really see anywhere any choice. So therefore, let's not do this kind of things just for show purposes so that in a few seminars we can talk about it. Let's try to do things which will bring results. The results, of course, are very poor. The results, if you look at the technology institutions, QS rating for technology institutions showed that not a single Indian institution was in the first 50 of the world. Not one. Not our treasures. IITs are our treasures, but they were also not there in the first 50. QS did not rate the institutions between 51 to 100. They only said these institutions belong to the range 51 to 100. We had some of our IITs in that particular class from 51 to 100. Moreover, when they rated the technology institutions in Asia, then also we did not have a single institution from India. That is the state of affairs. So it's a real bad state. Not one, even in the best 10 in Asia. Then the question is, what shall we do? Is there a way out? I think there is a way out. The way out is to be ruthless in selecting quality. The way out is supporting the institutions financially and otherwise, and giving at least the universities sufficient autonomy. Now regarding support, our treasurers, these IITs have got a lot of support, they say. All the 7 IITs combined do not have a total faculty which is there in MIT. MIT alone has more professors than all the 7 old IITs combined together. And the total number of students in MIT is about 10,000. If all of them together, and how many are there in the 7 IITs, that figure I do not have, but I'm sure it must be at least 2 or 3 times this. Now, we are not able to provide sufficient number of teachers to IITs, and I'm not talking about the shortage of teachers. I'm talking about there being no positions. The government has not allocated positions which is sufficient. Go to any reasonable sized university in North America. Go to a computer science department. There'll be at least 25 to 50 professors. There'll be at least 15 PhD labs. You do not have that number even in an IIT, and you are expecting, well, IIT should be world class. We are all expecting, at least IITs should be world class. At least they should be in the first 10. How will they be in first 10 when this is the kind of support we are providing? So it is not only the question of my getting support at GTU. The question is we are not able to support even IITs sufficiently. So therefore, we can make a university in India world class. We can do it in 10 years. China has done it in 25 years. In 1985, their universities were poorer than ours. We had IITs, they had none. In 2012, they had 4 universities in the first 50. Our best was at 218. And they had, of course, many others between 51 and 218. They have done it in 25 years. But they have published a lot of literature on what they call as world-class universities. Incidentally, the word world-class university probably was coined by them in Shanghai in 1985, when they established a center for world-class universities over there. And in 25 years, they have gone from a level which was no better than us to a level where we just are not there. And I suggest in 10 years we can be there, because they have already shown the path. It is possible. We can do it if we want to do it. But it will not be done by administrative officers in the government of India or state governments. They are totally unaware of what is required to be done. All their policies and all the money spent is not going to bring any results. The result that you are seeing of increasing the access is only because of our businessmen in education, and all thanks to them, at least students are able to get some education, though it is of low quality. However, if we want high quality education, we can provide it. We will be able to create great universities in India if we want it, but it will not be done by someone sitting in Sachivalayas or secretariats. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Akshay Agrawal. Well, friends, I have one more name given to me later on, which is Mr. Satish or someone. Is Mr. Satish here? who was supposed to present yesterday but didn't come up. If he's still not there, I think I would perhaps revert back to the originally scheduled session of private universities without making them wait. So it's my pleasure to first request Professor Laviraj Gupta is not here. Dr. Francis C. Peter, I'm going by the order it's listed here. Dr. Francis C. Peter, Vice Chancellor and President, Dr. K.N. Modi University, Rajasthan. The session is Private Universities Imparting Education Through Innovation. I'll appreciate Dr. Francis if 5 to 7 minutes time it. So we can have some discussion.
Dear distinguished guests and key speakers, since the time is limited, I'll make a brief presentation on my topic, the trends and potentials in higher education in the emerging privatized engineering education in the country. First slide. As you know, the institutional development in the emerging privatized education, particularly in the technical education sector, is a continual and intensive capacity and potential building exercise for the institutions of higher learning. It is undertaken to keep abreast the context of changing social, technological, and economic scenarios. If we look at the success of a number of leading technical institutions and universities in the world, we can see that cause of the development momentum that propelled them forward over the years and centuries and enabled them to create a social impact of their own by actualizing new levels of effectiveness was not only a single initiative, but a deliberate attempt to enhance their capabilities at all levels, from their strategies to systems and the structure. These efforts in turn have improved their ability to deliver against their aspirations. The institutions that have come up in the recent past also would like to achieve their mission in the not too distant future. Next slide. Barriers to excellence are formidable but not insurmountable. Capacity building programs in the Education Institute of Higher Learning and higher potential and caliber of the day are facing unique challenges due to the fast and unprecedented development of technology and the consequent development in the methods, practices, and usage in the society. Also, there's a demand from the society that the graduates be productive from day one. Therefore, these institutions will have to strive to excel. Next. Excuse me, next slide. Yeah. The globalization of business holds great promise for graduates who are coming out of reputed academic institutions by developing a set of key national and international partnerships, drawing the synergistic power of industry, government, and academia, enables nations to build substantial bodies of intelligence talent. Such partnership will be based on faculty interest and commitment, alignment of partnership to national interest. I repeat, alignment of partnership to national interest, ability to provide physical, intellectual, and academic infrastructure, sustained efforts on continuous basis. Whatever be the reasons, barriers to excellence are formidable but insurmountable. Next. And development of a technical institution entails the development of faculty, the supporting staff, and the students. They are the vital stakeholders, and particularly regarding the autonomy of academic, financial, and administrative strategies. These matters have been already discussed now, so I don't want to elaborate further. Ultimately, Our focus should be the students should be 100% efficient. Their output should be 100% efficient professionals. Next. And regarding autonomy, institutions have to develop their own development strategy. Of course, my discussions have been already made regarding autonomy of academic, financial and administrative strategies, but autonomy should be always balanced with accountability to prevent misuse of freedom. Next slide. When we talk about institutional autonomy, it is evident that curricula should be always innovative, grading techniques should be innovative, assignments should be very much challenging, like the assignments which are already given, which Professor Isaac has already mentioned about the assignments which are being given in US universities, and continuous evaluation of students. Administrative autonomy is very much evident, which enables to set up a transparent and responsive system meeting institutional functional requirement. Next. Of course, financial autonomy. Budget allocation should be judicious and in a prioritized manner. Money should be drawn through consultancy and sponsored research, whatever be the reasons. We boast too much about that, but in reality, including IITs, they fail in this. And so, interactions and connections with social association for corpus fund generation. Whatever be the reasons, the ideal mission or ideal situation, funds are to be generated or is owned by the institution. Here we have drastically failed in India. Except the fees, okay? Next. Regarding the requirements of good academic institution, of course, everybody knows the importance of quality education. You should have a well-articulated, dynamic mission, vision, goals, and objectives paradigm, and farsightedness towards future market requirements, and whatever be the reasons, creation of newer markets with general agreement of trade and tariffs, and adherence to rules, regulations, and timetable. Next. Of course, I don't want to speak much about adequacy of supporting infrastructure. Of course, we are supposed to have this. Then adoption of best practices which are practiced by other universities or other institutions. And we have to ensure quality and timely audits by a third party. Ultimately, quality is the hallmark of education, and ranking of education institutions on a global scale is the order of the day. Next. Of course, regarding goals of educational institutions is very well mentioned. Next. Of course, our mission of MHRD, Planning Commission and Government of India and ASAT should be focused on these items. Next. We have to offer a more global perspective in a global-oriented curriculum. Next. The relevance of industry-institute interactions is mentioned in the slides. Next. Okay. I thank you very much for the patient listening. Okay.
Thank you, Dr. Peter. Now, friends, I now request Dr. Anup K. Singh, who is Director General and Chairman, Nirma University, Gujarat, to kindly make his presentation.
Thank you. Whenever I come to such conferences, it's okay, I will take more time if I go over there. So I come with lot of hopes and go with a lot of depression. There is so much of bad news. American girl coming, writing so bad about India, then government's problem which are there, then the problems of administrators. So it creates a lot of depression. And in addition, then we hear of Harvard, Oxford, Cambridge being on the top, and we are nowhere. But who created Nalanda? Who created Takshila? Who is giving 20% faculty members of Harvard? Who is giving 20% faculty members to University of Michigan and Stanford? It's only India. Okay? So we should be very, very clear that we have great minds, and for education you need only one thing, that is great mind and enabling environment. So when I'm talking about private education, we know that India has got great minds, but where is enabling environment? I come from a private university system. We can't do admissions, so government does admission for us, right? We can't decide our fee, the government decides fee for us. And interestingly, the government decides fee program-wise. So this is this program, and you must charge only this much. And if you want to do PhD program, if you want to give a scholarship, that's your headache. Because in great universities, there is also a great system of cross subsidy. You make some money from one program, from one faculty, and you do cross subsidy. All over the world, the pattern is that engineering college, management college, and medical college, they earn for you. And that's how you promote science, that's how you promote liberal arts, that's how you promote fine arts and performing arts. So there is no freedom. So where is that enabling environment? And unless that enabling environment comes, it would be difficult for great minds to work and to be productive. But in spite of that, there is some hope. The hope is that if private universities have to do well, they can differentiate themselves by focusing on students. One problem of a government system is that student is not treated as the center of activities. Sometimes even teachers are not treated as center of activities. The only center of activities are vice chancellors and registrar. When they walk, everybody walks after them, and poor students are lost somewhere. So the hope is student centricity. The second hope is that we need to focus on engaging industry. See, we talk so much about why industry is not participating, but what are we doing for industry? To what extent we are sending our teachers and students to industry? If it is just a transactional relationship where we want something from industry, industry is not going to come to us. But when we say no, we really want to help you, we want to give time to you, and we are not going to expect anything from you, then industry would work. And that can only be done by private universities, because they know that they are dependent on industry. The employability of students is dependent on industry, and that should be done. Lastly, private universities have been depending on student fee, because that's the major source of funding. And the students give fee for private good. They don't give money for public good. And that's why it becomes very difficult for them to do research. It is very important that University Grant Commission, AICT, Government of India start giving them money to do research. Because they can do research much more efficiently, much more effectively. Otherwise, the cost of research would be very, very high. It is also important for private universities to think beyond fee. If they don't have other models of revenue generation, and they are just depending on fee, they would not be effective in long term. So I'm sure that we are a new country. Till 1947, we were an agrarian country. We assumed that we are going to enter into industrial era when we would be really leaders of manufacturing. That never happened. But somehow we are into knowledge era, and we have our teething problems. But as we have created Nalanda and Takshila, I'm sure that we are going to create world-class universities, and private universities would lead the way. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Anup Singh, for very, very useful points and confirm. Now I request Dr. Padma Kali Banerjee, Vice Chancellor, MIT University, Gurgaon, to kindly make a presentation.
In fact, I think this combined session did wonders because we could hear different points of view from the technical side. I was listening carefully what AICT had to talk about. A lot of stalwarts from private universities have voiced. I was thinking about Thomas Jefferson, who said that I like the flavor of the future than the history of the past. What's there in India in the future? We are talking about India being superpower 2020, where universities are playing a great role. I'm a hardcore optimist. I'm really looking at what universities are doing, whether they are government or private. The value-based quality education is the order of the day. For India to reach and become a superpower, there is no other way. It is going to be the vehicle of transformation. So instead of closing down, I would talk about and recommend reform in the system, in the academic delivery system. We have been talking about, I think Dr. Agarwal spoke about the flexible credit system. Yes, it's extremely important. Today in the MBA curriculum, along with the finance and HR, it is important to understand diversity, disaster management, climatic changes. If you look at the flexible credit system, it is important to include issues related to corruption. So the kind of curriculum is going to be the most important in the years to come. And when we talk about values, we have to eradicate any kind of problems that we face in order to have better education for our graduates. And of course, industry integration is going to be the crux. When we talk about industry integration, I'm talking about measurable steps. What are the things, not just in the policy document, but what are the different initiatives the institution can take up? For example, if we look at universities, including ours at Amity University, we are looking at centers of excellence. These are practice, research, and outreach centers where we have collaborations from the universities and we have taken up initiatives. Say, for example, in the healthcare industry, we have set out with a mission for eradicating, with the partnership with government, with the hospitals, for preventable blindness, which is a story today in India. We know the kind of grave situation in the healthcare sector. So if you look at, the mission has been taken by one of the Center of Excellence to help government in this area. So these kind of missions will not only equip the university and contribute toward nation building, but will help students to be more futuristic. Innovation is the order of the day. So you have to teach innovation in students. They have to take up projects with industry. And of course, when I looked at what was shown very beautifully through that Industry Connect video, but I still feel experiential learning is extremely important. There are beautiful resources today. For example, MOOC, which is that massive online open courses which are available. If you look at the best universities, it's like an assembly line. You have bulk standard teaching best practices which students can enroll. You can reach out to the rural areas. If we are, for example, we are at Haryana, we are, many universities, about 6, 7, 8 private universities. Shouldn't we form a league and bring a change towards the overall development of the community? So I feel technology transfer is another very important issue that universities today should look at, and where there is a lot of collaboration. There's a huge requirement of collaboration between government, between research institutions, and industry. You cannot do it alone. Any change, you have to bring people together. So that's something which is really on our minds, and we need to look into these particular aspects as we look at. And when we talk about international relations, well, universities, not only now, but age-old, if you look at, the export of, I would say, education through the form of, different joint programs, but it is also happening beautifully through, the Fulbright scholarship which took place in the US in 1946. And there are now many such institutions where beautiful relationship can be built across the boundaries, where students get an opportunity to go and study in other universities and bring in a lot of cultural exchanges, which maybe help even universities having a role in diplomacy, which is very, very critical today. So let's look at these positive areas and look forward to bring a change. So instead of an ABC, I often like to say, let's have a CBA approach. Let's clear the way. If there are problems, let's clear the way out. Let us look at towards the area belief. So clear, believe, and action. So that is one kind of a strategy that we can all take together and collaborate and make a difference. And at the end, I would also like to talk about the huge potential, the talent. We are talking about building. These are not just bricks and walls. We are talking about human beings. So there's a lot of behavior issues which are there. When we talk about students, let's understand the teaching learning system, the mentoring system, which is extremely important. So you need not just few best teachers, you need all good teachers. So talent should be one of the most important areas. So a lot of emphasis on training would be another very important area, both for teachers as well as students. So if government has to give funds, they should look at giving funds towards the development of faculty as well as students at the university. Universities are also providing scholarships, moving towards the best talented students who could get up to even 100% scholarships. Like, all these things are going to make a change, and let's look at these concrete steps and move towards future. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Padma Kali Banerjee. Now, friends, I have one more name with me, and I had called this name earlier, so I hope he's here, Professor Satish Sharma, who is Chairman and Managing Director, Maharaja Group of Colleges. Please make your presentation within 5 to 7 minutes, so that we can have some discussion.
Thank you, Chairman. I'll stick to my timing. Friends, cut it short, I'll talk about something very, very important. What is the need of the day? The need of the day is we are discussing innovations. I pick up the string from Mrs. Padma Kali that innovations is the need of the day. Yes. And being an optimist person in my whole life, when started these group of institutions, faced a lot of problems in the initial phase, and the recession affected very badly the admission part. Then I came across an article written by J.B.G. Tilak. He's a professor in National Educational Planning Institute in New Delhi. Talked about innovation universities. The bill was drafted way back in 2010 by the government, and laid on a table May 2012 in Parliament, expecting that we will do wonders. Are we not having many other innovative centers in India apart from these? But it's the government job. They will do their job. We will do our job. Part of the private community, I vouch, I advocate very strongly for private people, because they have a vehicle who can take along everybody from all spheres of life. I personally divided the entire class, entire society into two types. Some of them, they are catering classes, and I'm part of who are catering masses. Now we require at least very good people who can cater the need for masses. Masses means 80% students. They don't belong to that intellectual class. They don't belong to that high affluent families. They don't belong to the high background, high exposure, high awareness. Now, who will going to take care? We have taken a mission at my campus, like why not we take up a challenge? And a challenge at a time where people are talking about placement, quality. But how can you expect a person who has got 52% or 55% or below 50% marks in 12th and admitted in engineering? A person who has got second class in graduation and you expect to become a very big manager. So the simple solution is, I'm here to suggest to you, we have started good experiments in my campus. Basically, starting with the concept is entrepreneurship, innovations through entrepreneurship projects at colleges, whether you talk about technology or you talk about management or the business schools. We have set up one, the name we have called as Entrepreneurship Express. It's a train, take you, there are a lot of compartments, from all classes you can board and can fulfill, will provide you training, will provide you an exposure, knowledge, training, everything. And at the end of the day, we will suggest you to become employer, not employee. The motive behind this is, why not to produce employers, why to employ? Because an employer can provide, can assist, can feed 4 people or 5 people at a time. We have experimented very good projects at our campus. Presently, we are working on 20 or more than 20 projects at the same time. Some of them, they are part of the incubation stage. Some of them, they are in the implementation stage. It is, excuse me. Some of the projects are like, we have started one project for MBA students as dry cleaning Shopee. What's bad? Go for this kind of project where one student, the same student, when he was recruited in the campus, was getting merely 15,000, 20,000 per month. And this, the same student, when he started this project in Pune, was getting more than 1 lakh rupees per month. The simple project, the project name is White Tiger, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. concept. It a multi-storied flats are there. They approach the people who are all husband and working class, asking them 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. service with full quality. Another project is, we have eco-tourism vehicle. You might have seen a small rickshaw of electric rickshaw. One of our group of students, they purchased 6 rickshaws and they have implemented this project in Udaipur. We have a lot of lakes in Udaipur and they try to entertain all foreigners in those rickshaws with having all kinds of musical instruments in that, and it's an open one and lovely, and it's a supportive the environment also. Hardly one rickshaw costs 90,000, 6 rickshaws cost 5 lakhs rupees. All projects which we are experiencing is less than 10 lakhs, where 30% subsidies are given to the entrepreneurs by many of the financial institutions. Another is Makai Papad. We have a lot of maize in the local area of Udaipur. And there, they purchase at a very low price, prepare the papads involving all NGOs, and they sell it with 4 or 5 different flavors. Entire product is sellable in Goa and liked very, very fine papads and liked by the Goans people with in the hotels. Another is a farmer's son. 2 farmers' sons, they have started with their own small piece of land and they have started organic veggies. I have come to know that the same veggie which is grown in Udaipur sub-area, sent to Mumbai and sold at ladyfinger bhindi is sold at rupees 200 rupees kg to the affluent families. Maybe the distributor was telling, might be this bhindi is going to the Reliance Anil Ambani's house. Another is one more project, and all these projects, they have a name. Organic veggies project name is Jaan Hai To Jahan Hai. Ecotourism electric rickshaw project is Apno Tum Tum. Dry cleaning is White Tiger.
I would suggest that these are individual projects which you need not narrate right here. And if you can kindly conclude, we can have...
I'm concluding that. Basically, concluding my speech is, innovation starts, charity begins at home. When we talk about on the dais very, very high things, and we ignore the 80% people, it's not a viable solution at all. Sustainable and self-reliance nation can be made while taking everybody along with it. Thank you so much.
Well, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, we are through with the scheduled speakers except the chairman. And I thought I'll put myself towards the end later on so that I can combine both the things, summing up the issues. I don't need to sum it up. In fact, almost the sentiments have been echoed very, very clearly. I had brought in a study which perhaps could have answered some of the questions and validated what, maybe if I can quickly use those 4 points there to help save time. All right. Actually, I would like to, some of the study that I'd like to share with you, and I'm running through the, one thing that, technical education in the system has grown exponentially. This is in fact, I would even fit today a regression line on it, which clearly proves that the technical education system since independence has grown exponentially. And in system dynamics modeling, it's fairly well-known fact that anything that grows exponentially indicates lack of control. Therefore, it's definitely in terms of opening up the technical education system to the private system, because 95% of it is in private hands. On one hand, it's a great contribution of the private players to the economy, because the government would have never been able to provide the kind of access that this private equity has done. Great contributions to them, but the very fact that the rate at which it has grown is a clear exponential growth, and exponential growth is not sustainable. In fact, it's disastrous. So we must reflect where have things gone wrong, because, and the paradox is, it was supposed to be a controlled growth. There is an agency called AICTE, which is expected to control it. And despite that agency, if it is growing exponentially, we should know whether that kind of control is worthwhile. Because despite that, it's growing exponentially. That's one point which I wanted to let you know. The other thing that I did, the tremendous imbalances which we have done, but the study that I wanted to share with you here, using that UP2 academic excellence model. Now, this is what are the parameters, the priority sector. What are the vectors of priority if you want to have a world-class institution? Although I believe it's high time India stops using the word world-class, because many times we use it so loosely that often we try to pass a third class as world-class. So it's time that at least for next 10 years, we have a moratorium in using the word world-class till we really be somewhere around it. So that third class is not passed off as world-class. But what actually needs to be done, if this is a priority sector, this is a study, empirical study of 43 institutions in private sector in India. And based on what should be done and what's being done, perhaps the context will come. For example, to truly develop quality, the biggest enabler of quality is quality of faculty, which is an R square of 0.738, which means 73.8% of employability can be explained by outstanding quality of faculty. If you have the right kind of faculty, you don't perhaps, you have the outstanding faculty, create an enabling environment and leave them alone. Results would come. So highest faculty, the topmost priority factor is quality of faculty that you hire, followed by quality of teaching learning processes, the academic processes, followed by the quality of academic leadership. Unless you have an outstanding visionary academic leadership, there's just no way. And in fact, third topmost important parameter. And the fourth is the quality of admissions you make,
Then fifth is alumni relations, physical infrastructure, collaborations, sports activities, and cultural activities. Now, in fact, this I'll link up with what Dr. Isaac said. Now, this is what should happen. So if you look at this priority structure, highest priority quality of faculty, followed by teaching learning processes, academic leadership, and quality of admissions, and the cultural activities, sports activities, collaborations, physical infrastructure, they actually from the bottom they take up. Now, what is actually happening? I thought through mapping on the Likert 5-point scale, what is the actual performance as being measured on UP2 academic excellence model? This is where you see the paradox. The quality of faculty, which should be the topmost priority, currently is the 5th priority in the current practices. Teaching learning process, the 2nd priority is the 8th priority, because the kind of syllabus and the time you take in updating them, you're still teaching outdated technologies. And since technology becomes obsolete very fast, the teaching learning processes, innovative teaching learning processes, the 2nd topmost priority is the 8th priority out of the 9 priority sectors. The academic leadership, 3rd priority is the 9th priority. That means the quality of the academic leadership in most of these private institutions, the less said, the better. And what kind of miracles are you expecting from that kind of situation? The 4th is quality of admissions. Fortunately, that's 4 is 4. We aim at that. Alumni relations, 5th priority. The 7th priority, which means the alumni relations is an ignored area in the private sector institutions. Physical infrastructure, that's an interesting. 6th priority in the actually rational priority structure, the topmost priority in private sector. So you have world-class buildings with 3rd-class faculty. What do you expect? I would be happy with world-class faculty in 3rd-class buildings, they'll do wonders. But world-class buildings are we in a hotel industry? This is where perhaps we need to do some soul searching. The 6th priority, the topmost priority is physical infrastructure, because even if the shop closes down, you still have the real estate value in it. What kind of quality are we building into the system? Collaborations, 7th priority, 6th priority, not too bad. Sports activity, Dr. Isaac, 8th priority. The 3rd priority, don't have teachers keep them busy in cultural programs, cricket playing, collaborations, seminars, keep them hanging on around. And therefore 3rd priority, and of course cultural activities. 8th, 9th priority here is topmost priority. I have come across an advertisement recently for a private university in and around NCR, inviting students from 11th and 12th standard with free entry to 12th standard for understandable reason with Yo-Yo Honey Singh. Now, when our role models are not the outstanding teachers, but Yo-Yo Honey Singh becomes a kind of the attraction to come to the universities and get admission. Secondly, again came across a news item where a private institution spends 60% in marketing and 6% on faculty in a year. What kind of world-class institutions are we talking about? So my dear friends, without losing time, this is what the first column tells you. If you want to build in good quality institution, priority structure is quality of faculty, quality teaching learning processes, leadership, but the last column tells you the ground reality of what's happening. If this is the case, perhaps autonomy need not be taken, because to me, autonomy and accountability go hand in hand. Without accountability, autonomy can be disastrous. Without autonomy, accountability is not feasible. And if that happens to me, the debate between private and government is a meaningless debate. There are lousy government institutions. There could be wonderful private institutions. In fact, the best private universities in US are private universities. And therefore, giving this kind of impression that if you are a government college, you must be good, and if you are private, you must be bad. This kind of mindset is preconceived notion. It's time we start looking at performance, not in terms of either the buildings, but the outcome of what's actually happening. And if this be the case, if there is no control, as the exponential growth says, let the market forces decide. If you are charging high fee and nobody comes to you, you'll close shop anyway, as Dr. Vishwanathan mentioned. And therefore, the fee structure, if you have created a university, the fee structure, the course curricula, all these things are the bare minimum autonomy, but then hold them accountable in terms of the deliverable outcomes and let market forces decide. But this notion that if you are a private university, I worked my entire life in IIT Delhi system. I had been director in IIT Delhi, IIT Roorkee, UPT. But the moment I'm in a private university, people look at me As an individual, they may be looking at me differently, but the very fact that I'm in private university, I am not the same sought after commodity as I used to be, even in a government university, UP Technical University, which I tried to make it run, but it hardly could run, and is back after, after I left, it's back on the floor. So it's, my dear friends, we need to look at education from that angle. Education is a nation building process, and it's time that we stop distinguishing between private and government, start making them deliverable, because I often used to say in a lighter way, and I've seen some government colleges affiliated to my UPTU, if the AICTE norms were to be applied on state engineering colleges, half of them will close. But we don't check them. We have half the faculty, and the remaining half is busy inspecting the private ones. What kind of culture are we creating? It's time that we look at education. Quality cannot be controlled, it needs to be nurtured. This was the message of some of them, and I hope that this was the message that should emerge out of this session. I thank you very much. I'm sorry that I had 15 minutes of overshout, but then combining two sessions and top-notch speakers, chancellors to Member Secretary Isaac, was a difficult, task, but hopefully it's done well. Thank you very much, all the speakers, and thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Professor Premvrat, for such an interactive session. I would now request Sir to give away the mementos of thanks to the speakers of the session. I would call the names now. Dr. R.S.K. Lakshman Prabhu, Director Admissions, PSNA College of Engineering and Technology, Tamil Nadu. Can we have applause for all the... Dr. Akshay Agarwal, Vice Chancellor, Gujarat Technical University. Sir, if you have problem in coming up to the stage, I think. Thank you, Professor Bharat, for going down there. Dr. Akshay Agarwal, Vice Chancellor, sorry, sir. Dr. K.P. Isaac, Member Secretary, AICTE. Dr. Francis C. Peter, Vice Chancellor and President, Dr. K.N. Modi University, Rajasthan. Dr. Anup K. Singh, Director General and Chairman, Nirma University, Gujarat. Dr. Padmakali Banerjee, Pro Vice Chancellor, Amity University, Gurgaon. Professor Satish C. Sharma from Maharaja Colleges of Group of Colleges, I'm sorry. Professor G. Vishwanathan from VIT University. May I request Dr. Ravi Gupta, CEO, Illets Technomedia, to give away the memento to our session chair, Professor Premvrat. I would request all the speakers of the session to come up. I know about Dr. Akshay Agarwal, so I would request everyone to assemble there for a group photograph. Sir. Following this, we have the networking lunch for 1 hour that starts from 1:30 and goes on till 2:30. Look forward to receiving you in the same hall for the for the vocational training, enhancing employability skills of the youth session at 2:30 sharp.